Hello everyone. It's a rainy winter afternoon here in Istanbul, though it's quite unseasonably warm, and I wanted to share with you one of my favorite fixtures of fruit stands here in Turkey. This is something that you can find in Istanbul from about late September, early October, through to early December. I'm just at the end here, so I just barely made it, but I was able to find quite a few examples for you that I'll share. This is something that you may have seen, you may not have, but it's common in the United States as well, especially in more rural areas. This is the persimmon. In Turkish, it's called hurma, which is the same name they use for dates, the fruit. They may refer to it as Trabzon hurması. Trabzon is a city in the Black Sea region of Turkey that's famous for its persimmons. They also might refer to it as cennet hurması, or heaven dates, which is presumably because of how deliciously sweet they are. So, anyone who's tried these will probably know that if you eat one that is just a little bit underripe, you get a nasty surprise. They're full of tannins, which will turn your mouth into a dry, chalky mess and make eating unpleasant. But if you wait just long enough, they get nice and mushy and amazingly sweet, free of tannins. I'll give you some tips and tricks to avoid any tannins that might remain. And they're really a joy to eat. So I've got a couple different ones here that I wanted to share with you. This, as an example, is probably the closest you would find to a typical persimmon that you would find at any fruit stand here in Turkey when it's in season. So you've got the calyx on the top. Looks a little bit like a tomato. Color is quite brilliant, like an orange, even close to a grapefruit, and it almost seems to glow from the inside. Like I said, we're at the tail end of the season here, which means that I could have found better examples earlier in the season. But this one still is quite nice. It's nice and soft. The really good ones will be soft to the point of bursting. They'll put them in styrofoam trays so you can get them home intact. We'll cut it open soon. We've got a couple other options. This is also similar in that this is also what you would call an astringent persimmon. These are both astringent, which means when you eat them when they're underripe, it's full of tannins, and you're not going to enjoy the experience. This one, however, is from more of a village stand, so you'll see it's smaller, it's a little bit less blemish-free, and quite possibly will still have plenty of tannins, but be even sweeter than this one. When we cut it open, we'll find out. Then we've got this wonderful alternative variety that here they call çikolata hurması, or chocolate hurma. You'll see it's a little bit flatter. This one's quite small. They're not always this small. But you'll also notice it's not soft. It's quite hard. A little like a pear or an apple. This one is non-astringent, so you can cut it open up right now before it's gotten soft, and it's wonderfully crisp and sweet and not tannic at all. This is a little more common maybe in the south of Turkey. When you find persimmons in Hatay, they're going to look more like this, but you can find them throughout Turkey as well. The last example I have for you today, which is quite fun, is dried persimmon. So you can find these at most stores that would sell, for example, dried nuts and fruits, and maybe it wouldn't look quite like this because this one's a more homemade version that I got from a village farm stand. You'll notice that it's got wonderfully crystallized sugars on the outside. They've removed the calyx, they've also removed the seeds, but the way that this is made is they'll take hurma, they'll take persimmon, usually the astringent kind, you can't eat it when it's underripe, and they'll peel it and hang it up to dry, leave it for a while, and then you get this wonderful, shriveled but tasty treat. Let's get to the fun part now, the eating. So first up, we've got the store-bought persimmon. Side note, you're going to want plenty of napkins as you're going through with this, but messy things are often the most delicious. So we sliced it open. I like to slice it into quarters, and I have 2 slices here and the rest here. So the calyx at the top, you're going to take off. You can remove the skin if you want. It's quite waxy. Sorry. But it's not a bad taste. It might add a little bit of extra tannins, but not enough that it really matters. You'll notice here, so with this slice, you've got plenty of this white waxy flesh down into the center and at the top. So this one could have sat for a little bit longer, but that's totally okay. Take out as much of the white flesh as you can. You don't have to take out all of it, because that's where the tannins will be concentrated. So if it's not perfectly ripe, you'll still have a bit of that. But look at the beautiful glistening color of this flesh. Usually these are seedless. We'll notice with some of the other varieties that they might have seeds. Delicious, soft, sweet, slightly powdery, a little floral, vanilla-y. Not a single trace of tannins. Let's check the other side. Perfect. Next up, we've got the cioccolata, or chocolate persimmon, the non-astringent variety. I wanted to cut into it so that you would see the difference in texture. So this one's quite a fair bit harder. But like I said, it's going to be perfectly non-astringent. Here, and on the inside, you've got seeds. And so I've heard this from a couple videos, and you'll find it in the Wikipedia page as well. If you cut into persimmon seeds, I think in the southeast of the United States, they used to say that if it was shaped like a spoon or a knife, then that would determine whether or not winter is going to last long or whether it's going to start. So you see this one's spoon-shaped. You can do your own research to find out what that means. That's out of my area of expertise. But again, you do still have some of the white flesh. You've got the calyx. We can cut that away. And you're left with this beautiful color. Here you might have had a seed forming. Nice and crisp. Still softer than an apple or a pear, but you've got a nice chewiness, a nice softness, and a lot of the crisp is coming from the skin, which is thicker than the other variety. Now let's come to the dried persimmon. This I'll just slice in two so you can see what we've got on the inside. I'll take a quick bite. So as you can see, they've removed the seeds here. You've still got white, but like I said, from the drying, a lot of the tannins leach out. And so you don't have to worry about your mouth puckering up when you eat them. So this one concentrates the flavor a lot more. It's a lot maltier. It's a lot closer to an actual date. The two are not related at all. But you still get this very lingering aroma that I think is very special to persimmons, and it's hard to place. It's a little malty, it's a little flowery. So imagine a sweet pollen kind of flavor. And I saved maybe the best for last. Like I said, this I got from a village stand. Why did I say this for last? Because there's a possibility that the tannins in this would make eating any of the other ones a less than pleasant experience. So you can see it's nice and soft. And go ahead and cut into it into quarters. You can always scoop out the flesh and put it into a bowl and eat it with a spoon, and that is cleaner. You don't need as many napkins to eat it, but it's a lot less fun. So you'll see this one is also seedless. It's got this beautiful lighter color, still quite orange. There is a bit of white there that we'll cut away, and we'll see how we're doing on the tannins with this one. I think we're good. So this one has a lot more flavor than the store-bought one that I got at the beginning. It's similarly sweet, maybe a little bit more sweet, but it has that distinct persimmon taste. The powdery flower fragrance that I mentioned in the other one, and the same wonderful texture. So, if you get the chance to buy persimmons, find persimmons if you're visiting Turkey during the fall, don't hesitate to buy them. Let them sit until they're nice and soft. Cut one open, get some napkins, enjoy yourself. Happy eating.